What up, Dokkaners? With the Spirit Bomb Z and Spirit Bomb GT EZAs on the horizon, we are expecting the details to drop any day now, probably either tomorrow or, better yet, tonight. So today we're going to be looking back over the last couple of years of LR anniversary EZAs just to see how the progression has taken place and what we can maybe expect for this one. We'll try to do a little bit of, guessing towards the end. Obviously, we will not be dead on, but we'll probably nail a few of the mechanics down pat. So I'm doing this because, well, number one, there's really nothing to talk about because goated anniversary. But number two, I feel like because of how this celebration has gone, understandably so, a lot of people are skeptical, a lot of people are concerned, a lot of people are assuming that these EZAs might potentially fall by the wayside. And you know what? It's a valid concern. Given how this has gone, I don't blame you. I myself am a little concerned. However, when looking back over the years, I pulled up a few characters over the years. I actually have to pull up all their pre-EZAs. All of these units over the years, in terms of their initial release versus their EZAs, I think that if there's one thing that we can feel fairly confident about, it is that in terms of the anniversary LR EZAs, with maybe a few exceptions that one could argue, there have really not been any busts. And I could, you might have a difference of opinion, which is totally fine. This is my opinion. But when I was looking back and consolidating all of these characters like in my browser here to review, I realized that, you know what? That's actually true. I can't think of too many characters in terms of LR EZAs that were duds when they got their EZAs. Like upon first release, there were some characters that people were not too fond of. My beloved Vegeta being one of them. I was more than okay with it. But I will admit there were a couple of times where I was a little annoyed by the 7-turn. What is it? This guy had a 7-turn requirement, right? Oh no, five or more. Yeah, it was the 5 or more thing. Early on, it did take some getting used to, but I sort of came on board with this one. But like I said, there were a few characters that people kind of had issues with pre and post EZA, but overall they have been pretty good. So I think at the end of the day, no matter how poorly this celebration has been handled, I think these will not flop. Especially considering their counterparts, the Part 2 LRs, had such impressive EZAs, more specifically one, but both were surprisingly good. I kind of thought the Gohan's EZA was going to be a little but based on the showcase, he actually handled pretty well. So that being said, let's go ahead and review. This is going to also serve as kind of a history lesson for me, just to kind of go back and time travel into my brain, back to how I felt during these celebrations, because I am planning on doing like sort of a retrospective, like look back at all the different celebrations that I've been a part of, just to sort of rank everything. I don't want to do that yet because I want to wait till this final content drop happens. Who knows what sort of stuff we'll get in here? Probably not much. I know, but I want to wait. So once we get this final content drop, I will do my overall like thoughts on the celebration, what was good, what was not good. So let's go ahead and just review these. So 5th anniversary, we had the fusions, the Gogeta, Vegito. We had for part 2 the Rose and the Broly. So obviously, the super bosses do have their counterparts here with the Vegito and Rose and the Broly and the Gogeta. All of their EZAs upon initial release were pretty good from what I remember, especially the fusions, because they were stackers. And back in the day, you didn't need to have guard and damage reduction. You didn't need to have like 2 out of the 3 defensive mechanics. Just anyone had just one of them was fine. 50% chance to dodge was the name of the game back there. Slot 3, you had a 50% chance to dodge. Otherwise, you're just comboing in slots 1 or 2. Both units were stacking attack essentially for the first couple of turns, and then you were automatically transformed. You did not have a choice. You would just automatically transform. And when you became the Vegito Gogeta, you then had even more combo power, more functionality. You had more stats. I mean, these look horrendous now, obviously. But back in the day, these were pretty good. You got key +1 up to 5, attack and defense up to 77% with every attack performed. Combos, if you had to bench, you would be benched with a parting gift of an additional super attack, high chance to dodge. The active skill was very destructive. What made these guys so special was honestly the animations and the active skill finishers, because they were pretty lethal back in the day. And I remember having a blast using these characters. This is probably still, as much as I hate to admit it, this was probably still my favorite anniversary, even over the 6th anniversary, which was Universe 7, just because I feel like it's not a crazy thing to say that the animation spike, the quality of the character art and animation spike from year 4 to year 5 was crazier than anything that we've ever seen. And that includes now, because now, while the 11th anniversary animations are insane, it's not like it's spiking that much from something else that we had before, because during GDC, we had Gogeta. Since then, we had Trunks and Gohan. So we've had a few instances of those crazy animations, so having it jump up a little bit more isn't as substantial as it was back then. That's just my opinion. You guys can disagree. But when these guys transformed, they didn't have to stack anymore. They were just kind of using whatever they built up, and then they would do even more damage. They would get stronger, and it was a pretty fun time when they first came out. Unfortunately, they did age, as you know, units typically do. Same with the Rose. I don't have as many memories of the Rose. And it's probably because I was just so obsessed with using the fusions. I feel like most people would probably agree. But looking at this, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot going on. He does have a key-based or a stat-based boost based on how much key he has. And the idea was that the more you got to kill enemies, the more key you would get. Therefore, the easier time you would have building up this part of the passive, making him that much more lethal. That was the point. I don't personally recall using him too much during his initial release. This guy as well, not so much. He did have the guaranteed dodge, which definitely has its use. I feel like this became a much more useful option once he got his EZA, but upon initial release, I feel like the part 2s were really not as impressive as the part 1s. This guy, temporary stacks, lowers attack, nuking passive with some support via the orbs that you pick up. So yeah, so now let's take a look at their EZAs. So the EZAs for the fusions, I don't think that this is much of a surprise. They not only started stacking attack, but they started stacking the defense, although temporary. The stats overall went up. The combo power went up. The dodge capabilities went up because by the time they EZA'd, we were now in a time frame where more dodge was necessary, more defensive maneuvering was necessary. They EZA'd during the 8th anniversary when these guys actually came out. Now, the dates are obviously not the same for JP players, but it's fine. Both Global and JP got their EZAs on their respective anniversaries. So when these guys got their EZAs, there was a bit of a separation between the Gogeta and the Vegito in terms of who was better. Vegito became slightly better than the Gogeta post EZA, but both characters gained a very broken ability, a guaranteed dodge. This is far less of an impressive feat now because of how many other characters can do near guaranteed dodge or just guaranteed dodge in general. But when these guys first came out, this was an incredibly useful and, dare I say, broken mechanic, because this could be utilized in so many different ways. You could hold off on the character transforming by benching them on maybe turn 3. That way, when they come back on turn 6, you could save the guaranteed dodge for turn 6 when they return. Also, when they came back, they also had this ability. I believe these were the first ones to do this. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I remember being surprised by this because you guys actually taught me this live on stream. These two characters with their active skills, they have the ability to use them in slot 1, 2, or 3. And then if they did, they would basically inherit that part of the passive. And then they could transfer that into anywhere else. Meaning, if Gogeta's in slot 3 and he uses his active skill, let's say the first turn he shows up, he has guaranteed dodge. Great. The following turn when he comes back, he uses his active skill in slot 3. He gains the ability of 70% dodge, additional super attack, and key +7 because he became the third attacker when using that active skill here. Now he moves all of this into slot 1. So on top of all of these, he also got all of this. And that was a very broken maneuver that you could do with the characters. You still can to this day. I didn't know about this, and you guys actually told me on stream. It was a crazy revelation. But that also made these characters so much more transcendent than they ever were before. Even now, these guys have a place. I'm not saying that they are go-to characters. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that their abilities with that EZA were so good that even now you can utilize this in certain situations. You know what? Even on a Realm of Gods team, with the initial dodge boost that you get from the UI Goku, you could even argue that these guys are still useful now because they would be benched on slot 3. They would have 70% chance to dodge. If they're in the presence of a physical UI Goku, they have a 14% extra chance to dodge. That's 84% chance to dodge. You bench them on turn 1, they come back turn 4, boom, guaranteed dodge. So these guys in their EZAs, they were good, and they have somewhat withstood the test of time. EZAs typically age over time, but the anniversary EZAs have aged generally pretty well. That's the part 1. 5th anniversary, part 2. I would also say that these guys have aged pretty well. I would say that the Broly trio aged far better than the Rose, because the Broly trio has extra support as team damage reduction, has the guaranteed dodge. You have orb changing. Orb changing is very effective in order to utilize these parts of the passive. So this guy's sort of a fully functioning, just self-perpetuating machine that works in the context of movie balls or super balls. Whereas the Rose, I think, needed a little bit more juice after the EZA, but that's when we got like extra category additions like the Worldwide Celebration of 2023. Where's the EZA one? There it is. Worldwide 2023 made this character a lot better because of the domain, fellow big bad boss characters from Future Saga, more synergy. This character aged a little bit slower, but then got better. And then with the boost during those celebrations, the character got even stronger. But this, I would say so far out of the 5th anniversary, this was probably the weakest one. But still, they can be viable even now. Somewhat. That's probably cool. But that's just year 5. Now let's move on to year 6. Year 6 probably has the best aging EZA we've ever seen for anniversary characters. And that's UI Goku. I know some people don't like to admit it, but believe it. This guy with multiple instances of guaranteed dodge. Hold on. Let's not be premature. Let's start from the beginning. Let's start from the beginning. Let me not jump the gun with my beloved Universe 7. Let's take a look. When they first came out, they were broken, because, especially this guy, because of the revive mechanic, because of the ease of the revive being executed on this guy with 70% health entering the turn. He got more ki when he dodged. He he only had 70% chance to dodge. He did not have the EZA that made him dodgier. Oh, only 70%. He got more defense when he dodged, which I don't remember. I gotta be honest, I don't remember how effective this was. But overall, I had a very good time using this unit. I had a very good time using this unit upon first release. And then when he got his revive, oh, nothing changed. It just went back to this. Man, I'm not used to seeing this guy without his EZA. Okay. Well, out of the two, the main thing was just like the events got harder, but these guys would bail you out with their revive mechanics. And also, these units would provide extra crit. Oh, it was just for them. Oh, it wasn't even for the team. It was just for them. Oh, wow. Okay. They only gave themselves crit. Interesting. Okay. So Vegeta had, so he was the one, he would take the hits. Goku would dodge the hits. Vegeta would take the hits. And this was the issue with this guy. This guy, look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This guy, in hindsight, you know, he wasn't as good. I desperately tried to change the narrative, but to no avail. Everybody saw right through my gibberish. This guy wasn't as good because 10% damage reduction upon first hit means that if you get slammed with a Cataclysmic Super frame 1, you don't even get to build up your damage reduction, and you're just going to get vaporized. And it happened a lot. It happened a lot. And I'm pretty sure in my showcase, I was getting kind of frustrated. He also had the 70% revive thing, but the issue with this one is that you had to receive oh no, it was 7 or more attacks. Yeah, 7 or more attacks in battle. The EZA changed that a little bit, but dude, 7 or more attacks. Whereas this guy, you simply just had to exist. You just had to exist with health. Oh, it was 50% or less. I'm sorry, not 70%. You had to exist with 50% or less. Just by being there, his revive was ready. This guy, you had to be below 50% and you had to have received 7 or more attacks. But why would you do that? With this damage reduction being questionable, it could spell doom for you. So yeah, this guy was not received very well. And the EZA could not have dropped at a better time when it did, because that was for the 9th anniversary. That was what, 2 years ago? 2 years ago, these two guys got their EZAs. And let me tell you, to this day, UI Goku, still one of the best EZAs in the game. Currently with his boosts, you could even argue he is top 10 LRs in the game right now. And I know some of y'all aren't okay with that statement, but I'm just throwing it out there because it's true. Okay. This guy gives team crit 1 turn, 2 turns. I don't remember when the team like stat boosting effect started to kick in. I think like LR Bojack's EZA used to do something like that, but like we started to see more glimpses of the team floating supports from characters like this, other Universe 7 characters. Guaranteed dodge turn 1, post revival guaranteed dodge again. The condition for the revive became easier, 77%. Overall functionality became much crazier because you got even dodgier with each dodge. This guy got 7% additional dodge within the turn, meaning if you're opening with 70, oh no, this is the boost. Sorry, that's different. Basic effects. He has 77% chance to dodge. So with 7% additional dodge with each dodge that you do, that means you only have to dodge 84, 91, 98, 3 times essentially, and you are guaranteed dodge. This guy is still very, very good even now. Even without the boost, he is still useful. Similar to how I said that the 5th anniversary units can have some uses here and there, UI has that again, but even more so. Same with the Vegeta. Vegeta's EZA, some would argue that Vegeta's EZA made him better than UI in certain situations. Most certainly when dodge isn't part of the equation, like dodge canceled events, this guy is far more useful because he has guard on the first turn. His damage reduction rate is compounded on top of the 50% base damage reduction that he has. The amount of hits required goes down from 7 to 5. This guy gets another instance of guard after the revive. This is probably not as flashy as the guaranteed dodge, but again, when there's no dodge in the equation, this guy does function better. So both of these units and their EZAs were very good, again, transcendent and very impactful on the future of the game. I do not think that they have fully aged out yet. I don't. And you could call it Universe 7 bias, but I strongly feel like this is not a Universe 7 bias thing. This is just me being objective. Both of these characters can still be used. They're still effective to this day in various ways. The Part 2 Universe 7 LRs, I mean, in the context of Universe 7, they have certainly gotten better. I'm trying to speed this up a little bit because I don't want this to drag out forever. I would say that these guys are probably less impactful. I think ultimately, if we have to choose between the Part 1s and the Part 2s, especially back in the day when it was dual Dokkan Festival for Part 1 and then like the lower profile yellow coin LRs for Part 2, I would rather they make the Part 1 LRs the better, more substantial upgrades. This guy post, like pre and post EZA, he was all about launching combos, launching attacks, getting more stats as you do so. But this obviously aged over time. So with the EZA, this actually became a much more powerful unit. I think this unit has now been maybe fully aged out just because there are better options under Universe 7, like for example, the physical UI. But this guy, the stats went up. The stacking actually, let me see, what did the stacking look like? Greatly raise attack for 1 turn. Post EZA, we added the defense. So that is like one of the most standard procedures that you would do for an EZA. If a character stacks attack, what do? Increase the amount of attack stacking and then throw in some defense. If the character can stack both, then make them stack both even better. If it can only stack one temporarily and one permanent, either make both permanent or make one stack permanently better, have the other one stack temporarily better. There are a lot of different ways that they would kind of do this. This is like one of the main things that we're going to be seeing with the Spirit Bomb Z and Spirit Bomb GT in terms of their upgraded super attacks. So yeah, going back to these two, they just got a little bit better at what they did. This guy's overall stats went up. I'm trying to speed this up here. Universe 7, I would say Team Universe 7's EZA was far better than the Frieza in 17 because of the rotating support again. This became more of a fundamental thing that you would see on the Universe 7 characters. The original ability, greatly raises attack for 1 turn, raises defense by 30% for allies for 1 turn, raises allies defense by 30%, chance to crit plus 7% for 1 turn. And then post EZA, crit again for 2 turns, attack and defense 30% boost for 1 turn. This is what made Universe 7 so good at the time. It's kind of like what's happening now with Daima, only a smaller scale. It was a 1 turn boost for everybody versus 2 turns. More damage reduction, more synergy when having a full team of Universe 7. Actually, this is very Daima coded. I'm just realizing. 2 of my favorite categories, Daima and Universe 7, kind of function similarly in terms of like how close-knit their abilities and their supports are. This guy gave more stats to everybody per or Rainbow Key Sphere picked up, more critical. That was not a thing initially. Yeah, initially he just gave himself more crit. So they just expanded upon this. This is not really something that I'm going to be able to like predict with the Spirit Bomb Z, Spirit Bomb GT, but you can kind of see like how they just kind of build upon what they currently do. What did this do? Oh no, this doesn't change. I wish the active skills would change. I wish the active skills like abilities would change. Like just make the, you don't even have to make the conditions change. They changed the condition once for an active skill. I believe that was STR Android 21. They changed the required HP threshold to transform. Why can't they do stuff like that with this? Like maybe change this or one or the other. You don't have to do both. All right, so I'm sorry. I am going to speed this up here. Let's go to year 7. Year 7, these characters are some of the best age anniversary EZAs. I would say UI would be on the same level or slightly below these two. The 7th anniversary LRs are stacking characters. They are long form based stacking characters, but essentially what they did with the EZA is they made they increased the amount in which the stacking took place. They gave the character short form content functionality. They gave the characters abilities that would allow them to survive Bio Broly type events, Cell Max type events, where you hit the ground running right away with insane damage, immediate threats. And that's what this is right here. Turn 1, 77% damage reduction on an additional super attack, guard for 7 turns. This is the sort of thing that you want in a stacking character initially, so that while they are doing what they're supposed to, which is to naturally progress, they will have some coverage along the way, especially on the first turn. Both characters had this, and that is what is going to make these characters ultimately probably 2 of the best aged EZAs in a while. I don't think these guys are going to be dropping off for at least another 2 to 3 years. I do not want to see a single person in the comments tell me these two have fallen off, because you are actually on something if you think that these guys have fallen off. They have not fallen off. Guaranteed dodge with this unit post EZA. This guy has guaranteed counter. This guy is probably a little bit better than the blues. I know that there was a big debate back in the day, and I was part of it. Who was better upon release, the Super Saiyan 4s or the gods? And I think a lot of people said at the time that the gods were better because of their dodging. But now on the other side, I think people would argue that this guy's even better. So yeah, I mean, both of these units, pre and post EZA, they were good. These guys, this is how you design characters. This is how you not miss. They made these characters good pre and post EZAs, and I am thankful. Again, sorry, I got to speed this up because we are going on for a while. Moving on to part 2. Here, I think that Vegeta's EZA made him one of the go-to slot 1 defenders for the longest time. He has slightly taken a dip now. I would say that he is far less reliable in terms of the slot 1 defense, but I will say I never used this guy before. Probably that's more so a symptom of his category just being duty, which is Saiyan Saga. But, you know, for things like Giant Ape Power, Inhuman Deeds, I just never really found this guy as much of a go-to. Before he even got his EZA, I don't even recall, like, what did he do? He guarded? After guard, he got a little bit stronger. I think both of these characters had a thing where, like, you got stronger when you were fighting your op, right? Like, when you were fighting a Goku, you got this. When Goku was fighting Vegeta, you got this. And yeah, these two, again, it's the part 1, part 2 disease. Part 1 matters more. That's where you make the big bucks. Part 2 is just like, whatever. So if they're good, they're good. This guy's EZA, I think some people are not too fond of even now, and I think this guy's EZA has overall fallen off. The Vegeta lasted definitely a lot longer than the Goku, because the Vegeta became a slot 1 god for what is it? When did this guy EZA? He EZA'd February of 2025. Wait, what? He EZA'd last year? Oh yeah, this is 7th anniversary. This was for 10th anniversary. Oh, 10th anniversary. Oh yeah. This guy was good for pretty much the year. I think probably by the time we got to maybe like November, December, October. This guy was definitely one of the best slot 1s for the longest time this year. I think he's had a steeper drop off, but his reign as one of the best slot 1s was definitely noteworthy. So again, what I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, all of these EZAs have been pretty good. You can say maybe for this guy. You could probably say maybe for these guys, and I would agree. Like, these guys are not on the same level. But the part 1s have pretty much been smash hits across the board. And that brings us to, and then of course, like the 5th anniversary guys, they have their niches here. And then that brings us to the 8th anniversary part 2. We don't even need to review this. We know what's happened. The rise of the part 2 EZAs, the Turtle School Maestro here. He is one of the best characters in the game. And Gohan's EZA, not on the same level as the Goku, but still a useful addition for hybrid Saiyans. A overall long form stacking character that can be useful, and it is still an impressive character. I'm probably selling the unit short by pitching it that way, but you guys have seen the characters. You've seen them in action. These guys are good. So with all that we've seen so far over the years, I don't think that the Spirit Bomb Z, Spirit Bomb GT characters are going to miss, especially considering one of the newest events that have released seems to be very much catered to these characters. So that being said, what can we expect from these EZAs? Well, for one thing, I think we're going to be seeing greatly raising defense with the Spirit Bomb GT or Spirit Bomb Z. This is going to turn into greatly raising defense. This is going to become massively raising defense. And then either they make the attack stacking permanent, which I think that they'll do, or they will make this a temporary stack and they'll just make it stronger. This will become massively raised attack for 1 turn. This will become greatly raised attack for 1 turn. I would personally hope that they make it permanent, because ultimately the gimmick with these two characters is the standby and finisher. You want the Spirit Bomb to be as lethal as possible. So compounding all of those orbs that you pick up per charge count with 15% or 20% with all that attack that you've built up will make the Spirit Bomb payoff so much more devastating. With all of these enemies that have billions of health, could you imagine a Spirit Bomb finish against Vegito at the apex of Festival of Battles? That's the sort of thing that I expect to see from these EZAs. And because of the established precedent for how much they go hard on these EZAs, I don't expect any less than that. That's what I personally think. In terms of the passive, we'll obviously see an expansion of all of these passives. This will become larger. This will become larger. In slot 1, he'll probably get guard and damage reduction for like, I don't know, 8 turns because it's an 8th anniversary unit. In slot 2 or 3, maybe we get, you know, more attack. Maybe we get some extra critical, you know, giving a very distinguished difference between the role in slot 1 as a defender versus slot 2, I think would be good, because that's what you see here. They get more defense in slot 1 because they're meant to defend. So if you supplement extra defense with some damage reduction or some temporary whatever, that'll make this unit a good shield. Whereas if you want to go full sword attack mode, then you can go into slot 2, get some guaranteed crit or 70% crit. With 18 or more key, I'm going to expect more key, more stats. I'm going to expect even more stats here, maybe guaranteed critical at 24 key. This will be expanded upon. Maybe this critical will go, actually, I think this will probably stay the same. I would not be surprised if we can develop a guaranteed crit from the passive. You start off with 50% and you get to guaranteed crit with this. That means after 5 super attacks are performed, you can get guaranteed critical based on how they would construct the passive. Let's just say maybe you can get 5 supers within 1 to 2 turns. And if that happens, you could do a Spirit Bomb on the 2nd turn or the 3rd turn when this unit returns, giving the character a little bit more of the short form usefulness. Sort of like what I was saying with the 7th anniversary LRs. The 7th anniversary LRs are stackers, but they were given short form functionality because of their EZAs. So if they can do something like that, where they can make these 2 units be able to execute a solid, powerful Spirit Bomb finish within a couple of turns, that will be a great way to reinvent the character. Not just making it a unit that must be long form, but also something that can work in the short form, therefore catering to the new Greatest Tours event. I think I made a lot of sense when going over this. Like, I'm actually kind of proud of myself. Normally I say some pretty stupid things. I think I've said a lot of smart things in this video, and if you've watched all the way up to this point, I love you so much. Same thing with Spirit Bomb Z or GT. You'll just swap it, right? So he's going to be raising attack even more. He'll be stacking some defense. This unit's gimmick is that he's going to be very strong, but there's a chance there could be some, you know, some punishing here and there if you don't stack up enough defense. So make this permanent, give him some extra damage reduction. He already gets some damage reduction with every super attack performed, so maybe supplement this with a guard or something like that. I don't want dodge to be a part of this. I don't want either of these characters to have any dodge. I mean, they can, but like, I don't want dodge to be part of their fundamental identity. We've already got enough RNG. We've already got enough uncertainty out there. What I want these characters to be are staple anchors on the rotations. Wherever they are, you know exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get a very good version of whatever that is. And these characters will age with whatever, or they will adapt to whatever content you are trying to work on, at least for the next 3 to 4 years. That is what I want. And with all of this established precedent, I am feeling very confident that they will do exactly that. And that is all for my TED Talk. Thighs, thank you so much. Thighs? I just called you guys thighs. Thighs, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, just leave a like down below. I was so close. I was sounding so smart, and I had to end this stupid video with thighs. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like down below. Let me know in the comments. Besides thighs, did I say anything else that was stupid in this video? Let me know your thoughts. Be nice to me. I'm very sensitive. Let me know your guys' thoughts now, honestly. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on the aging of these anniversary EZAs over the years. They've been pretty good. Which characters among the ones that we showed and talked about here do you think aged the poorest? Which one aged the best? What do you expect from the Spirit Bomb Z, Spirit Bomb GT EZAs? Let me know your thoughts overall in the comments down below. Also, be sure to subscribe for more content in the future and click the notification bell so that you'll let you soon know when to see more myself do it. Thanks again. Stay tuned. And always remember to thigh responsibly. Take care of your thighs. Be responsible with them thighs. This sounds so weird. Goodbye.